One of the things that I can't help but have in my head when I'm out shopping and I see something that's made of 100% wool is thinking back to my spinning wheel and all of the many hours that I've spent at the spinning wheel. It taught me something about wool that I would like to share with you today while I have the spinning wheel in front of me, because it's an aspect of what contributes to good quality wool versus poor quality wool. Uh, it's very difficult for us as consumers of mass-produced things to be able to assess whether or not something is good quality by simply looking at it or touching it. There are experts in the field that might be able to do that in the textile world, but for most of us, simply looking at cloth and rubbing our hands over it doesn't really give us much. We buy the thing, and it's only after using it, usually for a while, that we can ascertain whether or not our money was worthwhile, whether we spent it on something that was good quality or not. And with wool, there are so many things that reveal its quality over time, whether it pills, whether it starts to wear out, or like you're wearing a sweater and if holes start to form in it just from wear, or it starts to become misshapen, those are usually the signs of, well, this thing isn't really good quality. The pilling is kind of one of the main things. So there are many aspects to woolen cloth today that contribute to whether or not it's high quality. One of the aspects are the chemicals that are used in the processing of wool to take out all of the grease from the actual fleece. But one of the aspects of quality woolen cloth is related to the fiber length, how long the actual fibers are, which you can't really tell when the thing is woven into cloth. And that's what I want to show you today. It's something that I'm always wondering and thinking about. What the quality of the fleece was before it was spun into thread. So on a sheep, they're living animals, the sheep gets shorn, and then the fleece, not all of the fleece can be used for spinning into thread. And this is on a hobby level, like if you're using a spinning wheel to spin it into yarn, but even on a level of mass production of woolen cloth. There are parts of the fleece, like the back of the fleece is very different from the belly side of the fleece, or underneath the sheep's arms or around its neck. Often parts of the fleece that are really, really matted will just get cut off and disposed of. That stuff won't make it to the mill where the good parts of the fleece are turned into yarn. But when I'm spinning, there's stuff that I see today that always makes me think of going into a store and buying a woolen garment. And the thing that fascinates me is that most people don't really know this, or they wouldn't think of this. So depending on the breed of the sheep, we have different qualities to the actual fleece. And the fleece that I'm spinning today is from a breed called Border Leicester. It's my favorite type of fleece to spin. And from the fleece, which I sort of skirted myself, my friend Deborah sent this to me a couple years ago. I laid it out on the ground. She had skirted it actually. So what she sent me was all suitable for spinning, but I laid it out on the ground, looked at it, then I washed it, and that's what I have here. It was just lightly washed in some soapy water, and now it's ready for spinning. I can still feel some of the grease in it. That's the lanolin, the natural grease from the wool. And when some of that is left in the fleece, it produces a yarn that's semi-waterproof, which is wonderful. Most commercial yarn, well, I think all of it, the stuff that, like if you bought a garment made out of wool today, it's been completely stripped of its lanolin. So this stuff has that in it, but that's not really what I want to focus on today. What I want to focus on today is the length of the fiber. This fleece, this is just as it came off the sheep. And what we have here, if I pull one of the curls, that's called a staple. Like one sort of lock of wool from the sheep. And what we look at as spinners is the staple length. So when I take a tuft of wool and I pull it apart, how long is that? Like, how long is it before it really kind of comes apart? And with this staple that I have here, that's about, let's see, when I stretch it, like 10 inches. Okay? And what that means is that as I spin the wool, I have fibers that are more or less 10 inches long. So as they twist together and form a thread, a continuous thread throughout this whole bobbin, I have overlapping segments that are 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10 or 12 inches long. And what that does is it creates a thread that is very strong. Because those fibers are so long, there's fewer ends per inch. And the fewer ends per inch not only means that the thread is going to be very strong, but it means that there's going to be less ends that are going to potentially come out of the thread when the garment is being worn and turn into a little fluffy ball that will make a pill on the garment. That's pilling. So what I'm going to do right now is the process that happens before spinning, where I take that fleece and I comb it out. And I comb it out to get out the big curls in the fleece, but also to rid the fleece of some of the vegetable matter that's in there, like the bedding, the straw. This is also, the main thing is lining all the fibers up in the same direction. As I comb, the curly bits of fleece are now all aligning in the same direction. This is going to help me produce a smooth, even yarn. And when I'm carding, I can really see the length of the staple. So here, I can see the length of the fibers actually. So here, I can see, oh, they're about 6 to 8 inches long. So shorter than I had assumed. But in this basket, because I've been spinning for a while, there's sort of the fiber length ranges from 4 to 5 inches to 10 inches, 10 to 12 inches. Some of the staples are really long. And that's all getting mixed up in here. Once this is combed, take the fleece off the carder, roll it up so the fibers are still going in the same direction. And then I put it onto my spinning wheel. Now, as I'm spinning, I'm slightly pulling out the fibers, but they're all connected to each other. And there's this overlap that's happening. And the overlap is happening between these 6 to 8 inch long fibers. And because those fibers are long, 6 to 8 inches, I can pull out this fleece and my thread, while being thin, is still strong. Now the wheel is twisting those fibers together. As the fibers twist together, they become even stronger. So the amount of twist that I put into the yarn contributes to the quality of the thread. If I want something that's very tightly spun, it's going to create a more durable but harder feel to the cloth. That's worsted thread. Woolen thread is when I don't spin it as much. I put in less twist to the yarn. But focusing on the length of the fiber, that 6 to 8 inch length of those fibers, that's an important part of the quality of this yarn. So commercially, the length of the fiber is a very important thing when it comes to this stuff being spun by a machine into yarn. And many mills that are processing this into yarn have a specific length that they can take, because the machines can't just process very long staple lengths. And this is commercially what contributes to the quality of the yarn, because they know this stuff, but we as consumers don't know this stuff. So one of the main differences between good quality cloth and poor quality cloth in the woolen industry is staple length. Long staples will produce a stronger thread, which ultimately leads to a cloth that is less prone to pilling, whereas short staple lengths produces a much weaker thread, much more prone to pilling. Now, there are all kinds of different sheep in the woolen industry. Longer staples command a higher price, and shorter staples can be sold for much less. Ultimately, when you're buying a sweater for $10, $15, $20 that's pure wool, one of the reasons why it can be sold for that price is because the raw material was purchased at a much lower cost than good quality wool. I'm going to simulate this process for you by showing you what it's like to spin wool with a very short staple. And I'm going to do this by just chopping up some of my fleece with a pair of scissors. Ultimately, when the wool is spun into yarn, you won't be able to see a difference. Oh, it's windy. Just blow into the windy city. The windy city is mighty pretty. Okay, so I have some fleece here. I'm going to pull it apart. And now I'm going to cut it up. I'm going to cut it up into very small bits. Okay, like maybe half-inch to 1-inch bits, simulating what happens in certain parts of the world where they're processing wool for mass production. Now, this kind of looks the same. You wouldn't really know once it's all bunched up together. And now I'm going to pull it apart, and now I'm going to card this. I'm going to card this the same way that I carded the much longer wool. And I'm carding it to align all the fibers so that they're running in the same direction. You can see now that the beauty that existed before with these long locks of wool that got pulled out on the carders with a little fringe remaining at the bottom no longer exists. There's no long fringe. The fibers are being combed out, but they're very short. Okay, that looks good to me. Now I'm going to remove all of this from the carders and do the same thing I did before, roll it into a rolag. Now this looks the same, right? And now I'm going to spin this. And this is going to be very different compared to what I was spinning before. These fibers are short. So I can't pull out as much, because if I pulled, look what happens. If I pull too much, I only have like a 1 to 2 inch give for this. I have to keep the stretch very small. Otherwise, I'll just lose my fiber. Now, when you look at the actual thread that I'm spinning, you would never know. it looks like what I was spinning before. It looks exactly like what I was spinning before, because once it's all twisted up, it just looks the same. So I'm going to stop, pull this off. So here's the yarn from those short fibers. And it's very different. Like, I can pull just short bits of it and it'll just break. But if I go back to the stuff that I was spinning before, let's see. This yarn is really different. I can pull like this and it's not breaking. It takes a lot more to break it. So that's one of the differences when we're looking at the quality of wool. It's something that the only way personally that I can assess whether something is good quality or not is by taking a bit of a gamble and buying something from a certain brand that's made out of wool, and then to wear it and to use it. And over the years, if there isn't any pilling, and if it seems to really hold up, if it's durable and holes aren't forming in places that get a lot of wear, like the elbows, then I'll be able to say this is good quality wool and I trust this brand. That's the way that I do it. I take a chance, and when I discover a brand that seems to have integrity by producing something that's wool that lasts and that looks as good as new years later, I think they're investing in quality wool and I can trust them. And then I go back to that brand. There's a little part of quality wool connected to the length of the fiber from my spinning wheel to you.